Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Valerie Z, the founder of Spiritual Cardio, a 10-week group coaching program that teaches women how to make peace with their inner truth and practice self-love, where we heal in community by interrogating our inner demons until they lose power over us. I'm bringing you the powerful spiritual practices that helped birth my transformation because I want the same for you. I'm going to teach you how to build a love story with yourself and your inner child. So let's go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Spiritual Cardio. I want to thank you for tuning in and showing up for yourselves. This work is not easy. I'm hoping to say something here that deeply resonates with someone who is struggling and hopefully inspires them just to keep excavating their inner truth. It's hard work, but it's so worth it because it keeps getting better. I feel so blessed to be doing this podcast, and this wouldn't be possible had I not accepted mine. So I'm here to be an inspiration to you. And you guys, living in resistance keeps us stuck. Whatever you're resisting, you're at war with. I remember when I started my healing journey, I used to sit and ask myself the same question over and over. Why me? Why did that have to happen to me? I could have had a better life had that not happened. This was in the beginning. I hadn't discovered spirituality yet, so I hated with a passion my abuser. I hated my parents for how things were handled. And on top of all of that, I hated myself for walking into that room. I was filled with guilt, anger, and a lot of shame. But those emotions are indicators that we're living in resistance to something, to a memory, to a pain. And my inner truth is, I was sexually abused when I was 5. And I remember dissociating from my body. I remember going through childhood and at times just forgetting who I was. I remember feeling so dirty on the inside. And when something bad happened to me, I always felt like I had it coming, like I deserved it. Imagine being so consumed by shame that it just blanketed your psyche. How many of you can relate to that? At some point, I felt like the universe whispered to me, "This is it. This is your story. You can't change it. These are the cards you were dealt." So naturally, the next question became, what are you going to do with this? This was my first glimpse into acceptance. I'm not saying it was easy. And I also wasn't ready to admit to myself that I had a drinking problem. So at that time, I sunk deeper into drinking. I started drinking alone to the point of passing out, and the blacking out became a constant. At the time, I didn't know that the negative emotions that accompanied excavating my inner truth were all normal. Of course, I was going to feel grief, anger, and rage. No one was guiding me through this process of coming to terms with my story. So naturally, I did the only thing I knew how to do, which was escape me. But it doesn't have to be that way. That's why I started Spiritual Cardio, to guide women through this process. As painful as it was to accept, it was temporary. But I made it worse by trying to numb and suppress it because I'd hurt myself in the process. Does any of this sound familiar to you? You've got to find the strength to love yourself by choosing to heal and pull yourself out of the mediocrity of suffering. You've just got to find a bit of strength to have your own back right now, in the right way, in a healing-oriented way. Acceptance gives you permission to heal. And it doesn't mean that what happened is okay. That's not what I'm saying. But it gives you the opportunity to validate your feelings about the memory with the intention to heal, not to remain stuck in victimhood. Because victimhood holds us in the dark and nothing gets accomplished there unless we're choosing to move toward the light. And acceptance helps us turn that light on. And slowly we start moving towards it through inner work. So I ask you, do you hate what happened to you? Are you resisting how you were brought up or the story of your childhood? Your truth will set you free. You're embarking on a journey into the unknown with a whirlwind of mixed emotions. But it's breathtakingly beautiful and liberating to discover and accept your story, to honor your truth. It's your truth. And at some point, you've got to find the strength to own it. Your truth can be your power if you stop rejecting it. Because inside of it, there's so much wisdom. There's so much to be learned about the beauty of your spirit, your character, your strength, and the purity of your heart. And if you release the idea of who you think you should be by making peace with your inner child, by making peace with your story, the authentic you is born. Except if you're struggling or living in resistance, the essence of your heart could be hiding behind a very thick wall. So acceptance gives you permission to move forward. Resistance keeps your story locked. It just doesn't move anywhere. So start asking yourself some empowering questions. Instead of, why me? Try exploring, how has this helped me beyond the coping? Are you stronger? Are you resilient? Are you determined, street smart, careful, vigilant? You name it. Explore finding a different perspective. When I started seeing beyond the resistance, I could see that despite all I had been through, I was determined, I was ambitious, and strong. I could see that all I needed was love. All I needed was my love and my mercy. And I realized the problem was me rejecting me rejecting my past and my story. And again, that doesn't mean that what happened is okay. I'm referring to acceptance for healing. Because acceptance promotes relief because it alleviates resistance to what happened. It removes the hope that the past could be any different. And it slowly moves you from being a victim of circumstance to a warrior of faith, because you're now practicing mercy for your life, for your inner child. Fucking finally. Finally. There's purpose in your story. It's no coincidence that what happened to you was meant to teach you something about the legacy you're meant to leave behind. But it's up to you to figure out what that legacy is. It's up to you to figure out what the meaning of your life is through doing your inner work. In appreciating your story, you open yourself up to the lessons it taught you and the wisdom of life. The suffering you've endured presented itself to teach you about the strength and resilience of your human heart. I discovered that choosing not to suffer anymore requires some strength. It requires an ability to surrender and some humility. When the way you've been doing things isn't working anymore, you need to try a new method, and you are worth the effort. You need to try loving yourself once and for all, but I'm talking spiritually. By doing things that are hard to get through, but good for your soul. Hey ladies, are you curious about doing your inner work but don't know where to start? Do you distract yourself from inner discomfort? Are you afraid of being alone with yourself? If so, then Spiritual Cardio Group Coaching may be for you. At Spiritual Cardio, we heal in community, where we can be vulnerable and raw. Because when one woman speaks her truth, she begins to heal, and she opens the door for another woman to speak hers. Head over to valeriezapeta.com to learn more and register for an upcoming session. You can also read the powerful testimonials from previous clients. And if you're not quite ready to do your inner work, I invite you to subscribe to my newsletter. Every week I'll send you some nuggets of wisdom to help you along your journey. Now back to the show. I used to live in pain because I wasn't in alignment with who I was meant to be. And the choices I was making kept affirming that pain. Until that same pain started waking me up to my inner truth. As uncomfortable as it was necessary. It was an awakening. So I ask you, what is your cycle of pain trying to tell you? Are there any recurring themes in your life that are causing you pain? Are painful experiences, those that cause the greatest agony, are the same stories trying to pull us into the better version of ourselves, into our becoming? Those experiences that lead us to our truth, if we can find the courage to ask ourselves empowering questions, we give ourselves the opportunity to rewrite our story and create the inner world we want, once and for all. One of my greatest blessings was accepting that I wasn't okay on the inside, because it helped me see what parts of me needed healing. There were two very pivotal decisions I made in the last few years. One was the decision to heal, and the other was the decision to get sober. Both decisions are transformational, but done simultaneously, you tap into your soul's wisdom and God's divine intelligence. It's just a magical transformation. I'm not saying it's perfect either, because healing isn't linear, sobriety isn't linear. You have hiccups along the way, of course. So it's not perfect, but you create the life you've been dreaming of. And through sobriety, I realized that I could live in joy, authentic joy. Finally, I was in the driver's seat where I started to confront those old wounds by choosing not to escape me anymore. You've got to find radical acceptance for all of your story, from your upbringing and those who hurt you, to what you did and how you did it. If you reject, you deflect, and there's no healing in deflection. Healing is a decision, and then it's a journey. So, if you're recognizing that you're struggling, numbing, or coping in unhealthy ways, the universe is calling you to go inward, to explore your wounds, your past, to find God's truth of you. Your soul's beauty is waiting for you to tap into it. The best version of you is waiting for you too. The universe was pushing me to wake up, showing me the correlation between the shame I felt as a child and how I felt when I'd wake up from a blackout. My wounded self's way of coping was no longer working, and the truth of me was emerging. It was painful, but liberating because I chose to pay attention to my patterns of behavior. I chose to pay attention to my cycles of pain. So I ask you, how are you trying to fill a void? Are you afraid of being alone with your emotions? Are you depressed Monday through Thursday, and as soon as the weekend comes, you rush to distract yourself, only to find yourself there again when the week starts over? That's a cycle of pain. What if every day was joyous and fulfilling? And what I mean by that is like you're not avoiding some deep discomfort within. Choosing not to suffer anymore requires a little strength and the ability to get honest with yourself. And that includes your inner truth too. I'll leave you with this. Living in resistance is fertile ground for negative emotion. It sets the tone for a battlefield within, which affects our health and our relationships. Acceptance is not resigning or erasing pain. As you work through the grief, the anger, and depression, acceptance gradually becomes the norm. It invites healing in. It moves you away from hurt. It helps release denial and anger. It invites joy in. And slowly you start aligning with God's will for your life, which is joy, peace, and love. Not a perfect life, but a fulfilled life. And here's a prayer to help you move through the healing process. Dear God, I kindly ask that you bless me with stillness to find peace within. Bless me with strength to forgive myself and others. Bless me with love to clearly see the soul of humanity. Bless me with your holy light to illuminate the path ahead. And bless me with bliss to spread joy to the world around me. Amen. That's all I have for this episode. I'll be dropping an episode bi-weekly for now. If you want to hear from me between episodes, sign up for my newsletter at valeriezapeta.com. Or if you want to support my work, share this episode with a friend, like, and subscribe to the show. This is Valerie Z. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Hey, thank you for showing up and spending some time with me. If you loved this episode, please make sure to subscribe. And for exclusive content, you can sign up for my newsletter at valeriezapeta.com. I'll see you guys at the next show.